Hey guys, this is Jacolia of Jacolia Gems. Welcome back home, family. For those of you that happens to be new here, I definitely hope that you hear something today that will persuade you to stay. If you have not already done so, exactly what are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. Now, with that being said, like the video, comment down below. Share it to your social media platforms. As y'all can see, my voice is, y'all already know how my voice sounds, but clearly not in a way where I can talk in my upper voice. So I hope that this video's audio is audible because, y'all know I got a deep, raspy voice, but y'all know sometimes I'm able to talk a little higher and other times I can't, so I apologize in advance. And clearing my throat don't help because this is my voice. I do it out of habit. So I want to talk to y'all about another Uber drive that I had yesterday. And it keeps happening. It keeps happening. And it's for a reason. So, no. It was Friday. And, of course, it was my children, my grandmother in the car. And it was a Nigerian man. Specifically, so I'm going to tell y'all how it happened. Excuse me. So he began to talk to us. You know, he was laughing and joking. And I could tell he was from Africa based off his accent. And, you know, like many Africans, he began to say, I bet your grandmother could tell you guys a lot about your family history back in Africa. So I began to talk, and I was like, well, my grandmother's ancestors came over from Ireland and from the West Indies, and everybody else were Choctaw Native American. And before Ireland, we don't know exactly what African tribes, you know. So he's like, oh, really? My son's mother is Native American. And then he was like, well, I'm from Africa, from Nigeria. And I said, well, what tribe? And he hesitated, which I'm used to. And then he was like, the U. And I said, what? I said, I know that tribe U means sheep, as well as Rachel in Hebrew. And he said, aha. And he said, yeah, we're in Ghana. That's what he said. Ghana. I'm sorry. He said Ghana, not Nigeria. And so then I said, are you near the Akan? He said, what you know about that? And he said, yeah, the Ashanti. I said, yeah, the people of smoke. They're Hebrews. You're Hebrew. And he was like he just started laughing. He's an older gentleman in his 60s. He started deep, hearty laughing, super impressed. And I was like, if I'm not wrong, I believe that you guys are in relation to the Yoruba, as well. And I was like, yeah, I know about the Igbo and everything. 8-day circumcision. He said, oh my goodness. He said, yeah, all of that, all of those markers belong to us. And he said, we didn't originate in Ghana. I said, I know you didn't, and I try to tell my family that all the time. And he said, no, we came into Ghana and Nigeria from leaving out of Egypt. He said, we left out of Egypt and we went into the Sudan. And he was like, we were called Nubians then. And I said, well, yeah, they called you guys Nubians because you were in Egypt with the Nubians, and the Nubians inhabited and founded it, the Sudan first and the Arabian Peninsula. And he said, exactly, but we don't have the same customs. But that's what they called us. And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, even Abraham, he went into West Africa with Sennacherib the first. And I said, so you guys going into West Africa? He was like, yeah, that's part of what we do. And he was like, but it wasn't just us. I said, no, it was multiple excursions of the Hebrews immigrating into West Africa. And he was like, yeah, we were down there in Timbuktu. I said, yeah, y'all were in Timbuktu being called Moors, while the Yoruba were in Spain and Mali and Mauritania. He said, exactly, and they were called Moors too. This is a real life conversation. So let me read this article. MyJoyOnline.com. This is a Radio and TV, March 13th, 2023. It's entitled The Ewe People Are of Hebrew Origin. Excuse me if I mispronounce anyone's name. Togbe Adabar the Fourth. And so while a lot of accounts on the origin of the Ewe people have been traced to Nigeria, so yeah, I was correct when I mentioned Nigeria as well as Ghana. The man Cardo of Gilead, Gobo Game, Togbe Adar Bar Fourth has revealed that they actually take their roots from the original Hebrews. According to him, this can be found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Y'all, he is sourcing. See, this is their oral tradition. How would these people know to source the Dead Sea Scrolls as part of their oral tradition? According to him, this can be found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Speaking on the Alpha Dajato edition of Showbiz A to Z on Joy FM, hosted by Kwame Dadzi, Togbe Adara Bra the Fourth said, from the scrolls, Abraham was referred to as Abraham the Evreh, Evreh. Do not we see this is what Yeshua Bar Yosef was also called, Ivre, on his cross? And this is also a reference made by the Igbo, this language as well. There was a time, this is a quote, there was a time when Nebuchadnezzar launched a war against the Palestines. A group of the Hebrews escaped from that war. They went to Egypt. This is Babylonian captivity. That's part of their oral tradition. Line it up, Holy Spirit. Yes. Oh, I could scream. Line it up, Holy Spirit. Biblically speaking, the tribe of Judah was known to be in Babylonian captivity. You could go and read the book of Daniel to see that. When him and the other three Hebrew males' names were changed to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These were Babylonian names. And much like in Babylon to Timbuktu, during that time when you had the tribe of Dan and the tribe of Judah in West Africa, you will see Benjamin amongst them as well. And I'm going to name the West African tribes to prove this, because this is mimicking what took place. So follow me. In 722 BC, during the Assyrian captivity, before Babylon and Timbuktu, this is when these tribes that I just named were in West Africa. And they were doing the same thing that they did in the time of Nebuchadnezzar, and I'm going to line it up. This is when the Yoruba and the Northern Kingdom, the quote-unquote lost tribes, the 10 tribes were taken into Assyrian captivity. Went into Mauritania, Mali, Morocco, Spain, Assyria, Babylon. Some of them went into Hamath and Havilah and Saba. So they went into a lot of different places in those areas, correct? In the Mediterranean, in Greece, and in Rome, the places that the Apostle Paul was writing to, the diaspora. So when you begin to look into Babylon to Timbuktu, when my Uber driver began to say they became called Moors, Pastor Lonnie, as well as another YouTube page, I'm going to link it down below when I find it, they begin to make correlations of the fact that the Mandinka, the Mali, the Soniki are called Moors, were there. And you have Bilal, who originated the Islamic call to prayer alongside Muhammad. Let's see, where did they get this from? And mind you, the Akan, the Ashanti, they identify themselves as the tribe of Judah. When you have the Fan, the Dahomey, the Dan people, these are the tribe of Dan. When you look at the U, they have markers to be the tribe of Dan as well. but I'm not going to come outright and say that, but they were living around amongst Danite territory. So they mimic this call of prayer that is seen in the time of Babylonian captivity with King Nebuchadnezzar. Because if you remember, Nebuchadnezzar not only wanted these Israelites to eat their food, he wanted them to bow and to pray whenever this call to prayer went out, and they would not bow. So these were Babylonian influences seen on these people that they carried out during Babylon to Timbuktu, which my Uber driver stated himself was an extension of the Solomonic dynasty. So for them to quote, there was a time when Nebuchadnezzar launched a war against the Palestinians and a group of the Hebrews escaped from that war, we have to realize that Israelites were in Palestine. Before that time, in the time of David, when Gath, when these Hebrews was fighting against the Philistines and the Hittites, these giants, they pushed them out of Philistine or Palestine, which is Philistine in Greek, and they went into Mali and Mauritania and became the Berbers, who are also called Moors by some people. So you have to know history when you're speaking on Moors, because several different groups of people were called Moors for different reasons. So the Israelites began to inhabit Palestine and Philistine. There's way more than meets the eye in history that we are seeing play out. And of course, you have some Ishmaelites and some Edomites who are still in Palestine. But who did the Most High give that land to? This one quote that this brother said is heavy. So the Palestinians and a group of Hebrews escaped from that war. They went to Egypt. Let's see, biblically speaking, other than West Africa, what's the main place that the Israelites fled to for safety? Egypt. Where did my cab driver say they came from? Egypt. He said then to the Sudan. What did my cab driver say? The Sudan. My cab driver also began to talk about the immigration from East Africa. And we talked about the Cushites there. We talked about the links of the Ethiopian dynasty. He said then down to Ethiopia and all the way to Niger. This is the same thing my Uber driver said. Tolbe said that the people stayed in Niger area for a while, just before the Mali and Songhai empires. Shut up, you don't say. So when the Songhai defeated the Mali, then our people moved into Nigeria to a place called Ifa. He said the Ewe people were there when the Oyo state sprung up. After fleeing persecution, they moved to establish the Tato settlement in western Benin. And we know Benin, the Dan people were there, the Dahomey. And they did so much wickedness to the Israelites, even though being Israelites themselves. But we all, Father, Holy Spirit, thank you for lining this up. So we see the Dahomey committing atrocities against their own people. And we see the Dahomey going out to serpent worship and doing these pagan rituals that they are not supposed to, right? We begin to look at my holiday ancestors. They became Freemasons in London. And although my grandfather did as he should have by rebuilding Goshen, he was a Freemason. He built Mooresville, but he made vows. And on our family emblem, one of the main ones was a symbol of Dan. And he was one of the 125 merchants. And he was one of the founders of the East Indian Company, which started the British Indian slave trade. So these are markers of the tribe of Dan amongst their people wherever they are. You also see that the tribe of Dan are judges. They were executors of the law. This history goes deep. So my cab driver also began to mention Japan, y'all. He began to say that Hebrews even went into Japan. He said, you see the Songhai Empire of West Africa? That's where Japan was built out of. I say, you don't say. I told him, I said, that's bringing me to the Idoma and the Ido and the Edo. And he said, oh, yeah. I said, because you know the Edo of Japan. He was like, yeah, those are the same exact people. This is a real conversation. So the predominantly adherents of Islam, the Songhai, were predominantly located in Niger and Mali, the Western Sudan region. And so they adopted Islam very heavily. And when you look at a picture of a Songhai woman, she's red. So, yeah, these are Arabs, these people right here. Y'all, this is Jacolia of Jacolia Gems. Thank you for once again coming back home, family. These are my car rides. Bye.